Buenos dias! This is Nathaniel Taong, your teacher for today. In this video lecture, I am going to discuss to you the professionalism and transformative education along with my co-teachers, Ma'am Josery Kizaya Wayan, Ma'am Kimberly Valle-Spain, Ma'am Jadine Varona, Ma'am Jessamy Villaro, Ma'am Aljane Burbano, and Ma'am Rhea May Estrada. So class, please lend your ears so you may understand the information we are about to share you. Without further ado, let's begin. First off, I'm going to tackle the first subtopic of this unit, the 21st century teacher. But first, let me ask you this question. What does a 21st century teacher look like to you? Well, besides the most common characteristics about teachers being up to date on the latest technology, they are the combination of a facilitator, a contributor, or even an integrator. Now that you are aware of what 21st century teachers are, I will ask you another question. What do you think are the qualities, qualifications, or characteristics needed to become one? Well, actually, there are 12 basic 21st century skills needed for this noble profession. We have critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication, media literacy, information literacy, technology literacy, flexibility, leadership, initiative, productivity, and finally, social skills. But if we are to summarize all these characteristics, we can do it in 4 ways. We have first the ways of thinking, which comprises creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, decision making, and learning skills. The teacher must demonstrate critical thinking so the learning will not just turn into a simple memorization. Strong teachers think critically. They practice the thinking art of analyzing and evaluating as they consider both day-to-day activities and long-term teaching and learning goals. Next, the teacher must be creative to gain the interest of the learners. Creativity shows that a person is competent to become a professional ideal teacher. The teacher's creativity will help the student grasp the lessons more quickly and become more motivated. Then, the teacher must possess a good problem-solving skills. They have the ability to render, discuss, and interpret a knowledge base that justifies the predispositions and assumptions that underlies learning or teaching behavior. Lastly, the teacher must have a wise decision-making skills. They recognize the individual strength, weaknesses, and needs of their students in their classroom. These needs are then capitalized by them to plan and teach better ways to achieve effective learning. For the ways of thinking, I am going to have an example. Consider that I am your teacher. Instead of giving you an activity in which you memorize information about the characteristics of life in science, I have decided to group my students and get them work together. They will have to form a concept map and connect their ideas. Now this will help students become more immersed, creative, and at the same time critical thinkers, compared to just pure memorization, which is information-based. Now we go to the second way, the ways of working, which utilizes communication and collaboration skills. We all know that communication is the key to a healthy relationship, either in a romantic relationship or not. Now this doesn't exclude teacher-student and teacher-stakeholders relationship. Here, the teacher must be clear on the messages he or she wants to convey. The teacher must see to it that he or she knows what he or she is trying to speak and deliver this clearly to his or her students. Also, no man is an island, so even though teachers are known to be independent in many ways, they must understand that in order to build an efficient and effective learning process, he or she must collaborate with other stakeholders, because this will benefit students even more. For example, as a teacher, I must be able to have my content knowledge and pedagogical knowledge ready. So when I teach, I will be clear to my students. I can also seek professional advices to my colleagues to have a better strategy in teaching. For the tools of working and skills for living in the world, please welcome Ma'am Josery Kizaya Wayan as she discusses these topics.
So hello, I'm Teacher Wayan and I will continue on Sir Nathaniel's discussion on the 4 ways to summarize 21st century skills. So Sir Nathaniel discusses working methods in his concluding section. Now, let us discuss the third way, which is tools for working. The significant growth in social usage of information and communication technology, or ICT, and their immense influence cannot be overlooked in education. ICT is rapidly establishing itself as a necessary tool for new educators and students in the classroom. ICT in education is the mode of education that uses the information and communication technology to support, enhance, and optimize the delivery of information. When instructors are digitally literate and comprehend how to incorporate ICT into the classroom, ICT may influence students' achievement. So now, here's the role of ICT in 21st century teacher education. First is ICT helps teachers to interact with students. ICT has enabled educators and learners to connect beyond the classroom or beyond the lecture time frame. Through ICT, direct communication will be established between students and instructors through various channels, allowing teachers to engage with and connect with their students. As an example, you might create a group chat for this section in order to create informed on announcements and such things. Next is ICT also helps teachers to access institutions and universities. As an instance, consider the time when online classes materialize. Teachers establish a system employing ICT to expose learners to the materials needed in their university. All of their curriculum materials, quizzes, and video lectures were uploaded to the LMS, which acts as our classroom setting. Then lastly, it helps in innovative teaching. ICT has a significant influence on education, particularly in this field. Teachers were now able to include new approaches into their lectures to make them more engaging for students. For instance, by introducing images or videos into lessons, instructors may offer students the contextual indicators essential to grasp new ideas, since visual data can serve as a link or framework between ordinary language and more challenging academic language. So the next way is skills for living in the world. So Global Citizenship Education, or GCED, aims to empower learners of all ages and all locally or globally in building more peaceful, tolerant, inclusive, secure societies. GCED is based on the 3 domains of learning, which is cognitive, socio-emotional, and behavioral. Cognitive is the knowledge and thinking skills necessary to better understand the world and its complexities. So for instance, fostering discussions regarding the material being taught, or assisting students in exploring and comprehending the relationship between concepts, and using graphics to aid students in their comprehension and memory. Next is socio-emotional, which are the values, attitude, and social skills that enables learners to develop effectively psychosocially and physically, and to enable them to live together with others respectfully and peacefully. So for illustration, abilities such as recovering from bullying or remaining still in a group to listen to a narrative are all instances of good socio-emotional development. They include the capacity to control one's emotion and impulses, which are necessary for growth and learning. Next is behavioral, which are the conduct, performance, practical application, and engagement. Positive reinforcement is a typical illustration of behavior. If students achieve a perfect score in their grammar exam, they receive a small prize. Students will study diligently and attentively for their test to get the award in the future. The key learning outcomes, key learning attributes, topics, and learning objectives suggested in GCED are based on the 3 domains of learning mentioned. They are interlinked and integrated to the learning process. Now, let's move on to the next topic, which will be discussed by our next teacher. So please.
Hello class, I am teacher Kimberly Malyasmin, and right now we are going to tackle about transformative education. But before that, let us have a brief background about Jack Mezirow, who left us with the transformative theory. Jack Mezirow was an American sociologist continuing education at Teachers College, Columbia University. He began this theory in 1978 while studying adult women that chose to re-enter higher education. Let's explore over what transformative learning entails at this point. Transformative learning is defined as an orientation which holds that the way learners interpret and reinterpret their sense experience is central to making meaning and hence learning. Furthermore, there are also principles of transformative theory. This theory has 4 general scientific laws involved. What are they? First, we have adults exhibit, which has 2 kinds of learning too. First, we have instrumental, which concerns task-oriented or problem-oriented learning. Second one, we have communicative, which aims to improve the students' communicative skills. Here, students learn how to communicate their wishes, needs, and emotion. The second principle is learning in transformative theory involves a change in meaning structure, that is, schemes and perspectives. Third, reflection about content, process, or purposes results to change to meaning structures. Fourth, we have learning can involve learning new schemes, transforming perspectives, or elaborating meaning to existing plans or programs.
Let's proceed to its phases of transformative learning.
He eventually came up with a list of 10 stages of personal information. First, disorienting dilemma. A person's current meaning structure does not match a previous experience. Second, we have self-examination. After disorienting dilemma, learners do a self-test of their beliefs and understandings and think about how past experiences connect to the recent dilemma. Third, critical assessment. Past assumptions need to be assessed, reviewed critically, and their validity checked. Fourth, recognition of shared experiences. Our discontent is important to the process of transformation, and here we recognize that the experience is shared by others. Fifth, we have exploring options for new behavior. In a transformative learning process, the individual can seek newer roles that are compatible with the new skills. Sixth, planning a course of action. While following a transformative learning path, we should also build confidence in our beliefs and understanding. 7. Acquisition of knowledge. After understanding how past beliefs may have been wrong or misguided, employees get a perspective transformation and plan a course of action. 8. Trying new roles. It is where the real learning happens as individuals carry out their plan further in their transformational learning. 9. Building confidence. The key to success in transformational learning is an exploration and trying to understand all the changes. 10th and the last one, reintegration. Lastly, we acclimate to our new self and emerge back into our lives with our fresh perspectives. Transformation is life-changing. According to Ms. Rowe, there are 2 forms of change that we can encounter. First, gradual changes, which accrue slowly over time. Second, sudden moments of insights. Everyone learns in a different way, and knowing how people learn is essential to academic achievement. Understanding how learning works for various students can be extremely beneficial to both teachers and students. Educators can maximize their efforts and build classrooms where learners can thrive by knowing how learning occurs. And with that, I hope you have gained a better understanding for our discussion. This is Teacher Kim. Thank you and God bless us all. Be safe.
So good day everyone. Today we're going to discuss Asian Qualification Reference Framework and Philippine Qualification Framework. So let's start with Asian Qualification Framework. So what's in Asian Qualification Reference Framework, class? So this Asian Qualification Reference Framework, it is a common reference framework that enables comparison of education qualification across participating Asian member states. Developed based on agreed understanding between AMS, aims to have a neutral influence on national qualification framework of participating AMS, addresses education and training sectors and the wider objective and promoting lifelong learnings. Take note, It is an initiative in line with the Asian Charter's objective to develop human resources through closer cooperation in education and lifelong learning to empower and people of Asia and strengthen the Asian community. So in short, Asian Qualification Reference Framework is a unique Asian cross-sectoral and cross-pillar initiative and plays an important role in supporting Asian community building. So Asian Qualification Framework gives a big help to us as a learner to improve our learning. Okay class, no more question? So now, let's proceed to Philippine Qualification Framework. So what is in Philippine Qualification Framework anyway? Anyone? Anyone from the class? PQF describes the level of education, qualification, the official recognition of the person's learning achievements. It also sets a standard for qualification with outcomes, which are the knowledge or skills gained by students after undergoing a certain learning or educational program. The PQF establishes a standard for education and training provider. It helps guarantee that these providers adhere to a specific benchmark and are accountable for achieving the same. Ultimately, ensuring the quality of education and training. In addition, since the PQF provides common understanding of policies and guidelines in curriculum or program formulation and implementation, it also allows PQF or Philippine Qualification Framework. Job mismatch can be reduced and productivity increase. It provides employers with specific training standards and qualifications that are aligned to industry requirements. So the PQF has 8 levels of qualification differentiated by descriptors of expected learning outcomes along 3 domains: knowledge, skills, and values, application, and degree of independence. It has the sub-frameworks corresponding to the subsystem of the education and training system. So for example, the Technical Education and Skill Development Authority or TESDA subsystem covers National Certificate 1 to 4, corresponding to the first 4 levels, while the Commission of Higher Education subsystem cover baccalaureate, postgraduate diploma, master, and doctorate that correspond to level 6 to 8. The two subsystems interface in the provision of qualification at level 5. Senior high school or grade 12 considered as the foundation of the 8 levels and provides eligible senior high school graduates the possibility of obtaining qualification up to level 5 as well as admission to degree program. So the working group are currently being headed by the following. So we have TISTA, Qualification Register, provides information to employers, trainees on education and training opportunity, licensure and assessment and certification services, and professional and skilled qualification. CHED, Pathways and Equivalences, establishes equivalency pathway and equivalency system for seamless education transfer and progression between education level corresponding to the PQF level. CHED Quality Assurance, develop PQF quality procedure manuals. PRC International Alignment, conduct researches or studies for comparability benchmarking of Philippine qualification with other countries and regional and international groupings. DepEd Information and Guidelines, develop information education and communication materials and promote advocate PQF.
So, good day class, it's teacher Jasmine Villaro here, and let's talk about National Competency-Based Teacher Standards. So, NCBTS is an integrated theoretical framework that defines the different dimensions of effective teaching, where effective teaching means being able to help all types of students learn the different learning goals in the curriculum. And this has 7 domains which will allow teachers to self-assess their own performance to function more effectively as facilitators of learning. So let's get to know these 7 domains. The first domain is the social regard for learning, or SRFL, which focuses on the idea that teachers serve as positive and powerful role model of value in the pursuit of different efforts to learn. Examples are teachers' actions and statements. The second domain is the learning environment, or EDUC, which focuses on the importance of providing social, psychological, and physical environment to all types of students. Example of this is when regardless of students' individual differences, they can still engage in different learning activities and works towards attaining high standards of learning. The third domain is the DOL, or the diversity of learners, which emphasizes the idea that teachers can facilitate the learning process even with diverse learners. Example, teacher Andrea conducted a game called Guess the Picture, which was participated by all of her students, including the crippled one who has special needs. While the fourth domain is the curriculum, which refers to all elements of the teaching learning process that works in convergence to help students understand the curricular goals and objectives. Example of this are teachers' knowledge about the subject matter and the learning process. The fifth domain is the PAR, or the planning, assessing, and reporting, which refers to the alignment of assessment and planning activities. In particular, PAR focuses on the use of assessment data to plan and revise the teaching learning plans. The sixth domain is community linkages, or the CL, which refers to the idea that classroom activities are meaningfully linked to the experiences and aspirations of the learners in their homes and communities. Example of this is the Parents-Teacher Association, or the PTA. The last but not the least domain is the personal growth and professional development, which emphasizes the teacher's value, having a high personal regard for the teaching profession, concern for professional development, and continuous improvement as teachers. Some common examples for teachers' professional development are seminars and workshops. So, we're done knowing these 7 domains. Who should use the ECBTS? Anyone who is interested in improving their teaching practices, the PRC designing the licensure examination for teachers, the DepEd in formulating its hiring and promotion, and importantly, teachers in all public, elementary, and high school all over the country who wish to improve their professional development activities. That's all. Thank you and have a great learning.
Good day everyone, my name is Aljin Burbano and now I am going to tackle the Philippine Professional Standard for Teachers, or in short, PPST. Philippine Professional Standard for Teachers, or PPST, it shall be used as a basis for all learning and development programs for teachers to ensure that teachers are properly equipped to effectively implement the K-12 program. It can also be used for the selection and promotion for teachers. PPST is internationally compliant, K-12 alien, and Philippine contextualized because PPST demonstrates good subject and curriculum knowledge and fostering and maintaining pupils' interests. There are 6 modules of Philippine Professional Standard for Teachers. The first one, the Department of Education. The second one, the Filipino teacher. The third one, the K-12 program. The fourth one, the teaching process. The fifth one, the learning process. And the last one, the school and community language. There are 7 domains that quality teacher should exhibit. The first one, content knowledge and pedagogy. So this domain, where you can use mother tongue, Filipino English learning or teaching, and how to use ICT in a positive ways. One is learning environment. This domain, learning safety and security, fair learning environment, management of classrooms, chapter and activities, and promotion of
purposive learning. The third one is diversity of learners. From the word diversity, it includes our backgrounds, our personalities, our experiences in life, our beliefs or cultures. This domain is all about learners' gender, needs, strength, interests, experiences in life, cultural, religious, or socio-economic. The fourth one is curriculum and planning, whereas teaching and learning resource including ICT, planning and management and teaching process. The fifth one is assessment and reporting. It means monitoring and evaluation of learner progress and achievement. The sixth one is community linkage and professional engagement. It means establishment of learning environments that are response to community context. It also professional ethics and school policies. The last one is personal growth and professional development. It includes philosophy of teaching, dignity of teaching as a profession, professional links with colleagues. There are 4 career stages. The first career stage is beginning teachers. How gain the qualifications for entry into teaching position. It means so they have a strong understanding of the subjects or areas in which they are trained in terms of content knowledge and pedagogy. Career stage 2 or proficient teachers. They are professionally independent in the application of skills vital to the teaching and learning processes. They display skills in planning, implementing, managing learning and programs. Career stage 3, highly proficient teachers. Consistently display a high level of performance in their teaching practice. Meaning, stage 3 teachers are work collaboratively with college and provide them support and monitoring to enhance their learning and practice. Career stage 4, distinguished teachers. Exhibit the highest standard teaching practice in accordance with global best practice. It means they are recognized as leaders in education and contributors to profession. They exhibit commitment to inspire the educating community and stakeholder for the improvement of provision in the Philippines.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Teacher Rhea May Estrada, and I'm going to continue Teacher's Performance Report. My topic is all about domains, strengths, and indicators for different career stages. I will give one example of strengths in every domain. Domain number 1. First, strengths, content knowledge, and its application within and across curriculum areas. For beginning teachers, it demonstrates content knowledge and its application. For profession teachers, it applies knowledge of content within and across curriculum teaching areas. For highly proficient teachers, model effective application of content knowledge. For distinguished teachers, model exemplary practice to improve the application of content knowledge. Domain number 2. Learner safety and security. For beginning teachers, it demonstrates knowledge of policies and guidelines. For profession teachers, establish safe and secure learners' environment to enhance learner through the consistent implementation of policies and guidelines. For highly proficient teachers, it exhibits effective strategies that ensure safe and secure learning environment. For distinguished teachers, it applies comprehensive knowledge of and act as a resource person for policies, guidelines, and procedures. Domain number 3. First strand. Learners' gender, needs, strengths, and interests and experiences. Beginning teachers, it demonstrates knowledge and understanding of differentiated teaching to suit the learner's gender, needs, strengths, interests, and experiences. For profession teachers, it uses differentiated, developmentally appropriate learners' experience to address learners' genders, needs, strengths, interests, and experiences. For highly proficient teachers, it works with colleagues to share differentiated, development appropriate opportunities to address learners' differences in gender, needs, strength, interests, and experiences. For distinguished teacher, it leads colleagues to evaluate differentiated strategies to enrich teaching practices and address learners' differences. For domain number 4, first strand, planning and management of teaching and learning process. For beginning teacher, prepare developmentally sequenced teaching and learning process to meet curriculum requirements. For profession teachers, plan, manage, and implement developmentally sequenced teaching. For highly proficient teachers, develop and apply effective strategies in the planning and management of developmentally sequenced teaching and learning process. For distinguished teachers, model exemplary practice and lead colleagues in enhancing current practices in the planning and management of developmentally sequenced teaching and learning process. Domain number 5, first strand, design, selection, organization, and utilization of assessment strategies. For beginning teachers, it demonstrates knowledge of the design, selection, organization, and use of diagnostic formative. For profession teachers, design, select, organize, and use diagnostic formative and summative assessment. For highly proficient teachers, it works collaboratively with colleagues to review the design, selection, organization, and use of the range effective diagnostic formative. For distinguished teachers, it leads initiatives in the evaluation of assessment policies and guidelines that relate to the design, selection, organization, and use of effective diagnostic formative. Domain number 6, first strand, establishment of learning environments that are responsive to community context. For beginning teachers, it demonstrates an understanding of knowledge of learning environment that are responsive to community context. For profession teachers, it maintains learning environment that are responsive to community context. For highly proficient teachers, it reflects on the evaluate learning environments that are responsive to community context. For distinguished teachers, model exemplary practice and empower colleagues to establish and maintain effective learning environment that are responsive to community context. Domain number 7, first strand, philosophy of teaching. For beginning teachers, articulate a personal philosophy of teaching that is learner-centered. For profession teachers, apply a personal philosophy of teaching that is learner-centered. For highly proficient teachers, manifest a learner-centered teaching philosophy in various aspects of practice and support colleagues in enhancing their own learner-centered teaching philosophies. For distinguished teachers, model a learner-centered teaching philosophy through teaching practices that stimulate colleagues to engage in further professional learnings. That's the end of my topic. I hope you learned. Thank you and God bless.